Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are live. DC Toontime's in the house, and we are going to look at Grand Funk Railroad, Born to Die. We're an American band that Grant hates. Here we go.
Talking bands no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Holy crap, we are live. I'm jumping from show to show tonight.
Busy man, busy man.
I'm very busy. So tonight I want to welcome DC to the channel, and we are continuing our Grand Funk series. We're looking at the 1976 album Born to Die. Now, if anybody has kept track of this series, we you know that I'm not a big Grand Funk fan, and well, we're going to look at this record and dive into it and see how I feel about it. Now, I know the Todd Rundgren stuff is brilliant. All the Girls Beware I thought was pretty good, but Born to Die is a little bit different record. I mean, DC, when you listen to Born to Die, I know you're a big Grand Funk fan, but when you listen to Born to Die, how does this album affect you? I mean, what's your thoughts on it to start us off? I have to bring up my notes, so if you can start us off.
Okay. Well, this is definitely a 180-degree turn from All the Girls in the World Beware. This album is decidedly more serious than the previous album, which was very upbeat, danceable, dare I say, foot stomping, dare I say, soul infused. This album tackles some serious subjects, is somber in tone, most of the tunes. There's 2 upbeat songs I would label on this album, but a lot of it is very reflective, and I think it probably mirrors a lot of what was going on with the band at this point. This is where a lot of the internal disagreements came with Mark, Don, and Mel, and Craig Frost is kind of like in the middle of this whole mess. This is where the band was kind of coming apart in the seams, and in fact was calling it quits because they owed Capitol Records two more albums. So Grand Funk released their second live album. It was a 2-album set. And Capitol agreed to count that as one of the 2 that they were owed. And Born to Die was the second album that left them free and clear and out of legal trouble with Capitol Records. And you could just kind of feel in the wax here that the band was kind of being torn in certain ways. This album has a very odd feel to it. More than just the somber tone of a lot of the tunes, rather.
Yeah. Well, when I listened to this record, I know you mentioned this is a contractual record. This was the end of the Capitol era. I don't hear this record to my ears as like one of those records that they just threw out to Capitol and they didn't care.
No, they did not crap this album out. Yeah, I agree. Mark had planned on going solo. I think the other 3 guys hadn't even considered putting Flint together at this point. And if you'll notice on the album cover, the boys in their coffins, Mark's the only one with the white tie with his tuxedo to signify he was having a life solo after this album. I remember back in the day, that was like a little fun fact that I've retained these many years. But even the title of the album, there's so much contrary information about how this whole album came together and the general theme. I know these guys were not thrilled about dressing in tuxedos and lying in coffins for the photo shoot. There's also a promotional little film that they made for this album. So Capitol still was pumping money into this band.
Yeah.
The title track was written by Mark Farner. His cousin died in a motorcycle accident. The next morning, he got up at the piano and composed this song. Somehow it became the theme to the whole album. Craig Frost says that wasn't the band's intent. I don't know if that was Capitol. They thought it was a great theme to round out Grand Funk's career with their label. I don't know. But Craig Frost has said that that was not their choice. They wanted to call the album off of one of the other songs, Talk to the People, which I don't think is a great album title either, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, you listen to this record. If you looked at the history of it, for one, this record, as their career progressed, this didn't really sell that well, I don't think. This got up to 47 on the chart.
Yeah. There was a single off the album that only charted. It only got to about, I think it was 69. It was the song Sally, which is one of the two upbeat songs on this album.
Yeah, for the most part, this record is very moody, gloomy.
It's reflective, and it tackles some subjects that are chin rubbers, as they say.
Right.
It's not all fun and games and foot stomping. There's some serious subjects here.
We love foot stomping. Well, the one thing I want to mention about this record that is different from the previous records is that by this time, it seems like Don Brewer and Mark Farner, everything is evened out. We have Craig Frost doing a lot of co-writing on this record, but you've got a Mark song, a Don song, Mark, and they're constantly writing.
Right.
And
you've got Craig. Go ahead, Grant.
No, I'm just saying, I think it works well.
I do too. And I think Craig was working with both Mark and Don. I mean, there's Mark Craig credits on this album. There's Don Craig credits. And even Mel gets a writing credit on this album. How about that?
Thank God.
How about them apples?
He got writing credits on Flint, but he was doing a lot more then, probably.
Yeah.
But, so, do you dig this record? What do you think?
I do.
Favorite track?
It's funny with Grand Funk. You'd think they're kind of like a one size fits all or one approach fits all, but they're not. There's different periods in this band's career, and it depends on my mood. Now, if I'm in a slightly reflective but foot stomping mood, I'll put this thing on. I do like this album quite a bit.
Okay.
But it's not the Grand Funk of All the Girls in the World Beware, definitely. It is a very different vibe, very different approach, but I like it. It just depends on my mood.
Yeah, I don't think it's a record that is very uplifting. You better be in a good frame of mind if you're listening to it.
Be a little reflective.
But Jimmy Einer is back.
He's back at the dials.
And he's good. If you listen to this thing with headphones, it's a listening pleasure.
Yeah.
Great recording. The mix is great. I wish I could slam it. I can't. The thing is, I think Grand Funk has matured. And they're actually playing very well on this record. It's not so much to show off. They seem to be playing more to the songs.
That's a great point, Grant.
They're much
great
more
point.
Yeah, it's just not some jammy record. It seems like they've really matured. And I do like it a lot, quite a bit. The thing with Grand Funk, by the time you get to 1976, I think they had their run. Anything else after this, I mean, they're down. Bands cannot be like this all the time.
No, they cannot.
Not every band is U2. And they've had their down points too. Yeah. So
any creative endeavor has their window where they're producing the quality material. Then you have your building, I'm all mirrored. You have your building up point and then your drop off point. That goes for everything, whether it's Charles Schultz with his comic strip Peanuts. There was a magnificent period of time there, or The Simpsons, or any group you might want to name. There's a sweet spot where they did their best stuff. And it seems like earlier they build up to that greatness, and afterwards they kind of fall away and really don't bring anything earth-shattering or on par of what their best material is. I just think that's the way the creative path goes.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. I mean, it seems like, because I wasn't a Grand Funk fan, so don't interpret this the wrong way. But in the Grand Funk community, is there a separation? You know,
Oh
I've
my
read
God,
about
yes.
people that love that
My,
Todd Rundgren stuff, and then they look at
absolutely.
the later stuff as
Yeah.
I
I
much prefer the later stuff.
Yeah, Grant, I hung in with this band for the full ride, but I know there were a ton of people that jumped off the Grand Funk bandwagon after Shining On. When All the Girls in the World Beware hit the record stores, and you had your hardcore Grand Funk fans going there to purchase this album, they took one look at that cover. They just thought, F this, I'm done with these guys.
The cover's
I'm not even going to give it a listen. Yeah, but it matches the fun approach, the lighthearted approach, the overall feel of that album. But I was all on board. I like every period of this band, and I draw from it different things. But like you say, Grant, there were many Grand Funk fans that just jumped off the bandwagon after Shining On. Larry Graves, I believe, the Canadian Studmuffin, has said very often that All the Girls in the World Beware, that is where he was done with this band, and he loves Grand Funk. So, I mean, they lost quite a few fans going in that direction.
So, Ken White, what you think? What is your favorite era?
That's
I'm just
Ken.
curious, because I see, of course, 70 to 74, but 76.
Yeah, I haven't been reading what's the comments posting up there because I was kind of concentrating getting my thoughts. That's right. We always got good comments from the listeners. And Logan, if a band
go ahead.
If a band did the same album over and over again for 10, 15 years, that would get old real fast.
AC/DC?
You have to look at from AC/DC is the one band that could get away with making pretty much the same album. But you got to look at it from the musician's perspective. Not only are they recording the album, they got a tour, and they're playing them same damn songs a couple hundred times a year. They want to change. They want to move. They get tired of doing the same thing. So it's completely understandable. You can't stay put. You've got to always. That's why so many rock groups gave in and did disco music, disco songs at least. You kind of have to move with the times, and hopefully you're able to preserve your musical integrity with your core audience. But yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, Motorhead probably produced the same record over and over again. But I think that when I do listen to this, I think that they progressed. I think they grew. I think once they got Todd Rundgren in there and was able to manipulate him, and then they've got, Jimmy Einer, and I think he did great stuff with them. I don't think he was as great as Todd, but I like the sound of this record. I listened to this record, and I still see that Todd had a lot of influence, because I listened to Born to Die, and I hear little bits of Todd Rundgren in there, like from the album Initiation, and that's 1975. I think Grand Funk was probably really into Todd Rundgren, and I do hear that influence. Now, I don't know if that's ever been documented. What I hear.
Here's a fun fact for you, Grant.
Go ahead.
Todd wasn't he liked Grand Funk, but who really sold him on producing Grand Funk was his girlfriend at the time.
BB Buell?
Yeah, because she was like all about Grand Funk. Todd, you got to produce these guys. And he liked them, but she was the one that really convinced him to do it. And of course, he was paid very well by Capitol to undertake this project. But I also agree with you as well. There are strains of Todd that you can hear in their music post his productions. And he had a tremendous input on these guys and gave them a confidence and understanding that a lot of the crap that they were taking from the critics was not their fault, that they needed someone at the helm to kind of direct them in certain ways and bring out their best, which is what they got with Todd. And they wrote it all the way through, as you said, maturing as artists and songwriters as they went along.
Yeah, so I like this album quite a bit. I just think by 1976 they had ran their course. I don't really hear any hit. Well, Sally was a hit, and to be quite honest, that song kind of, it's okay. It doesn't really do much for me. It just
I like it.
Out. Okay, it sounds definitely more like a single, and it doesn't fit the album, so to speak. Okay, that's right.
It's not up there with Bad Time as far as an upbeat pop tune, but it's good enough. I like it.
But Born to Die is okay. I like the flange guitar solo that Mark does in it. The
Yeah,
guitar on here is really good, but it's so Todd influenced that it's just funny.
oh my God, Grant,
Very flangey,
absolutely,
very Toddy
yes.
like, which is
Todd
not
had a
bad.
Todd had a humongous effect on these guys, and like you say, is maybe especially with Mark, with them being both guitar players. Of course, Todd's keyboard player too, but I think you see it more with Mark as far as what he took from their time with Todd and Todd's influence on their sound. And that lead guitar on Born to Die is very sad and searing. Oh, we're getting to Guinevere for
Yeah,
sure.
that
We're
track
gonna
kicks ass.
get to that. Yeah, like I said, this album opens up. You're not foot stomping when you're put on track one of this tune. It's very
Oh,
somber.
what the hell? We can go to Genevieve. I don't give a shit.
All right, let's come on.
Minutes.
We run the show here.
Since Jock brought it up, we're going to talk about it. Gary Joyce likes the instrumental. Great.
Yeah, I do too.
Track. Oh my God.
Oh, everyone's loving it.
Okay, so Guinevere, 6 minutes of pure musicianship. This is what I wrote down, ladies and gentlemen. Has a great groove. Craig's keyboards and the horns kill. What a great jam. I wrote Grand Funk has matured. The interplay of guitar with keys. It is absolutely a pleasure. As an instrumental, killer.
The vibe that they put out with Mel's bass and Craig's keyboard, and it's like got that little percolator type rhythm. And me being a big coffee fan, that's going to be a winner for me. But this is a great instrumental. Everybody gets a chance to shine on it, and like you said, it's a lengthy tune, but it doesn't feel that way because there's just so much going on and so much little asides mixed into the song that you never get bored or tired of it.
A lot of times you look at these instrumentals as filler, but not in this case.
No, not at all.
I'm going to go on record again. I think Craig Frost was a breath of fresh air to this band because of all the material afterwards. I think it's just great. Deuce has that. All right. So anyway, Guinevere, great freaking track. Let's pop back to Deuce. All right, George, let's talk about Deuce. It's really yet another. What a way to start out this record. 2 depressing songs in a row. We've got.
But if you're going to do depressing, they're both very reflective tunes. And depending on your mood, this might be what you want at a certain time. It's not what you think when you hear Grand Funk, but
Don's talking about. He says, "I think I'm heading to a terrible accident." He's pleading with Jesus. I think Don, of course, sounds great as he always does. But the lyrics could use some work. I think they're kind of
really.
Yeah,
I like the lyrics. I mean, first off, I have to mention
it just
Mel's great bass workout on this one, countering kind of like Craig's keyboard riff, and like Don saying, "Jesus, are you watching, or have you gone blind? Evil souls are upon us, and we're surely running out of time." Hell, he could have written that in 2024. The way I'm seeing these things these days.
Well, they've been saying that ever since they've written the Bible, so that's nothing new.
Oh, it's worse now than I ever remembered, and I'm an old cat. This ain't some kind of wonderful, that's for sure.
Wow, we haven't had that in years.
Well,
actually 2 years.
Yeah, that's a searing Farner guitar solo on this one.
Yeah, I think it's
for me. 2 home runs right out of the box for me.
But it's just not you've got to be in a certain mind for this.
Yeah.
It's Sally's country rock mixed with sunshine pop. That's what it is. This could be on Stephen Schnee's Ski Lodge, for God's sakes. And I put on here, wow, does it stand out? And his love interest at the time was actress
Sally Kellerman.
Yeah.
Sally Kellerman, he had a thing for her. And it didn't go anywhere on the charts. Like I mentioned, it only reached 69 on the Billboard charts. And there's a nice, really great harmonica solo that normally Mark would play the harmonica, but it's Jimmy Hall from Wet Willie.
Mm-hmm.
And during that tour that the second live album came from, Wet Willie was their opener for that tour. So I guess they got to be really good friends with the band. And Jimmy Hall's on this album a couple of times playing harmonica and saxophone. So
Craig Frost is their most unsung member. He brought so much in with his time with Grand Funk, and he did some awesome work with Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band a few years later. I love Craig Frost. I freaking do.
He and Don Brewer joined Bob Seger's band for a while.
Don
there.
Brewer was in that?
He was with Bob Seger for a while. Yeah, him and Craig.
Sweet baby Jesus. Speaking of Jesus. All right, Salady. I mean, it sticks out. It's not great. I fell for your love. This is going into easy listening 70s kind of singer-songwriter mode.
It's a soul kind of thing, and the guitar groove that Mark Farner is playing reminds me very much of the guitar styling on Brooke Benton's Rainy Night in Georgia. If you listen to that riff, listen to Rainy Night in Georgia. It's very, very similar. There you go, folks. Don't forget your merch.
Well, this merch, I'm taking it on the 80s cruise.
There you go.
I ordered a whole bunch of cozies, but DC, I've got one for you that I'll be sending to you in the mail.
Attaboy.
Oh, that was a little bit of a plug. There you go.
We had a slight commercial break, folks.
Now
back to the music.
But I think I Fell for Your Love. I think Don sounds great, but he's singing more like in that Mark Farner kind of vein. It's not very heavy, but Don, you can throw whatever you throw Don to sing, he can do it. It sounds great.
And what we've mentioned before on this song in particular, there are parts where Don and Mark are harmonizing. It's wonderful. Those two, their voices meld together. Just fantastic. So for me, my voting on this is 4 great tunes right out of the chute. You may disagree. And I'm sure you do.
Talk to the People. Got a groove, good vocal blend with Don. Mark and Don, I think, are killer when they blend their vocals. It's not very inspirational. Your future is dying right before your faces. I mean, it's kind of bleak.
Oh yeah, this is not foot stomping. This is not All the Girls in the World Beware. This is not Look at Granny Run Run. Mm-hmm. This is none of that. 2 upbeat tunes. The rest of it is very reflective stuff. This one is the first one of the songs we've discussed so far that is a little bit lower in my rating. It's still good. I still like it, but I don't like it as well as the previous 4. And Jimmy Hall again plays sax, and him and Mark trade off leads.
I was going to say they sound really good together.
Very good. Very good.
That's right. Trademark Grant's Rock Warehouse. There it is.
There you go, folks.
The logo, ladies and gentlemen. George, he's on the distance, evidently.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know how long that Don and Craig were in Bob Seger's band.
What was in the gallery, in the peanut gallery? What was the hit off the distance? Does anybody know? There was a hit. I know there was.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Bob Seger fan, so I couldn't tell you.
So Take Me, Mark and Don track again. What did I write here? A little R&B, rave up. I think Don sounds great. I dig this record. Good backgrounds. That's all I put on here. This was also a single that's got up to 53 on the charts.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing offensive. I think it's just a nice little track. Nothing. You're not changing the world with it, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I assess what I said. This would be the 3rd upbeat track on this album. I like it a lot. You got 2 stellar vocalists again operating. Dare I say this is a foot stomper? It is. The keys and the bass drive this tune instrumentally, and it's one of my favorites on the album. Born to Die was released in the days when people listened to albums.
Mhm.
Bands could survive on the strength of a good record with little. And Grand Funk proved that more than anyone because nobody was playing them early on, except for your FM radio stations that were cropping up in the Midwest there.
Let's see what else. We looked at Guinevere. Love is Dying. I put in here. I love the guitar sounds on this record. Just enough overdrive, but it's not too much. It's still, you can tell he's got single coil pickups on that guitar. I don't know what guitar it is, but it's not humbuckers. It's a Dawn track, strong guitar, heavy rock medley. It does kind of tear at your emotions. It's kind of sad, but it's both driving and emotional. I think it's a great track. I so far, ladies and gentlemen, I like this record. So before we do, we're going to keep going. We got a couple more tracks, but before we give our ranking, I do want to hear from everybody in the chat. If you've liked this record and if you've heard it, what would be your rating out of 10?
Yeah,
we do want to hear it. So,
I agree with you. Love this song. I read somewhere where Brewer wrote this about Foreigner and what was happening as far as their relationship and the breakup of the band. So kind of if you read between the lines, I read it somewhere that this was kind of a salvo sent Mark's way from Dawn. I see we got an 8, we got a 6.5, we got a 7.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Really solid album by Logan.
Yeah. So keep them coming. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Politician. I'm not into political rock and roll, DC.
You and me are on the same page. Save that for another event or outlet.
But it is what it is. Mark has passion to what he is singing. I get it.
And I think no matter what side of the aisle you come down upon, we can all agree that most politicians are bullshit artists and don't have our best interests at hand. Yeah. So I can agree on that front. And it's a very general political song, just about the nature of the political animal and the people that operate within that world. Right. Got some furious wah-wah guitar in it.
Like I said before, I like the guitar. Here we go. Gary, no politics in my music, just me. Well, yeah, I know. See, I have a lot of... I can listen to it, but really don't preach to me.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
That's the problem about this record. I can get over it, though, because the playing, the production is so good. But, don't start preaching to me on a record, Well,
it depends. If it's your spiritual convictions and you're not trying to... I don't know. That doesn't bother me because I'm a person of faith anyway, so that's not going to rub me the other way. But politically, don't get too far into the weeds with me because I'll just tune you out, even if I kind of agree with you. Right. It just sullies the whole music experience. There's plenty of things to sing about.
So yeah, I get it. So wraps up with Good Things. All right, now the intro to this song I wrote reminds me of Todd Rundgren. It wouldn't have made any difference in the intro.
I can hear that.
But after that, all similarities end. But I can hear Todd all through this record. I think he had a big influence. I think it's a nice uplifting ending. At least we're ending on something that's uplifting as opposed
to... it's a good closer. You wouldn't want to close with Born to Die. Save that for the end. Good night, folks.
But still, Born to Die to open up with that.
I know. I
would have opened up. Okay, the sequencing on this record needs some work. Good Things can stay where it is. I would have opened up with Sally because you don't open up with Born to Die. You don't open up with something that's you want to go and slit your wrists on. I would have opened up probably with Sally.
How about Take Me?
Or Take Me. Either one of those would be all right. Probably Take Me, and then you can do Born to Die. I wouldn't have mixed it up more. I wouldn't have had so many downers in a row.
Those two coming right out of the box. I don't know whose decision that was, and I don't know whose this overall final decision was to go with this theme of Born to Die. If what Craig Frost has said, with that I've read that he said, is true, that that concept just overtook this whole project, and the band wasn't 100% behind it. So
Yeah, maybe.
who knows?
Gary Joyce, Walking Corpse, defies all logic. Keith Richards. You know what? You know why Keith Richards is still with us? He's got a good genetic code. Now,
He has
if you
said that.
if you want to have a good life and not have to, if we could take what Keith Richards' chemical makeup is and distribute it, you'd have something. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of I know I'm on a tangent, but this is my theory, is that he has a good genetic code. He can throw whatever you want to throw at him, and his body can pretty much take it. Another guy that I think has a good genetic code is probably Tommy Lee. Have you ever listened to him talk about it? He's taken every drug on the planet, pretty much, and he can take them and not get addicted to them. Some people can do that.
I read Keith Richards' biography, and he states that in his book. He says, for fans of me and fans of the Stones, my genetics have allowed me to live with the lifestyle that I've put out there for these many decades. Don't follow my lead. It's my genetic makeup that's allowed me to continue to live at this point.
Like George
he's not
Burns.
Yeah. Well,
live forever. Smoking.
He's not doing that good these days. From the clips I've seen on stage, seems like Ron Wood's taken over the meat of the important guitar parts. And if you look at Keith's hands,
he's got
like
arthritis.
Almost formed into a bar chord, they're just all
what type of arthritis is that? Is that
I don't know, osteoarthritis?
I think
I need to ask my wife. She's a nurse. Just ask me about pencils and markers.
Yeah, my sister-in-law has that. Her hands kind of look like Keith Richards.
I had an aunt that was like that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, rheumatoid. Thank you.
Rheumatoid. There you go.
God, of course, Gary Joyce coming in with
the info.
Obviously, Keith Richards has rheumatoid arthritis. He's all gnarly.
Yeah.
But whatever, it is what it is. Hey, he's not a young.
No, what a life! What a life he's led. So, salute.
So anyway, we're looking at we've got a 7, a 6.5, an 8. I would go, for me, now I'm looking at Shining On as a 10. Love it. We're an American Band, 10. Those both records interchangeable for me. I would have to give this, because I like this era. I wish there would have been more of this. I'd like to have seen if they would have kept going. Yeah, I know we need to talk about that Zappa record too, which I think we might do that next month.
And I think everybody's also clamoring for us to take a look at the Red album. Then there's Phoenix. Y'all will recorded in Nashville.
We'll talk about what we'll look at after we're done.
Okay.
But I think if they would have kept going, I don't know. Is this the album where where it's falling apart? I don't hear a band falling apart on this record.
I do not either. I hear a band that's going through some rough shit, and it's apparent
in their personal lives, maybe.
Yeah,
and it reflects in the lyrical content. But I don't hear a band falling apart.
They didn't just crap this album out. There was attention to detail, and there was thought, and they worked at this album, even though it was a contractual type situation. They didn't put a crap album out.
Yeah. So what would you give this record?
I give this record 8.5.
Oh my!
Because I'm like you. I hold those, and I know you don't like it, but I put E Pluribus up there with Shining On and American Band. And then All the Girls, for as much crap as that album takes, I put that right underneath, and then this one underneath that.
So you'd rather have All the Girls, you like that record better than this one?
I'm generally more of an upbeat person, I'd like to think.
Yeah.
It's just because I would reach for that album more than this one, but certain moods I might get in, and that's no slam on the album. that's the way the album is. I can't say it's a lesser effort. It's just an effort that I wouldn't go to as much because of its
Content.
Its content. Yeah. So,
well, just because of the lyrical content and stuff, I'm not going to strike it down because I do think it has a lot of great playing, great singing, great production. I love the way this record sounds, and I love the way all the girls in the world sounded. I like what he does with it. I think it could have been a better record if Todd had produced it, but I'm not taking it away. I think Grand Funk sounds great when they have a producer. I would probably give this a good. Of course, we haven't really looked at anything old, so I really, other than the live albums, so I really can't comment on that.
You can make a tentative vote, and then you can jerry rig it.
No, but with all the other stuff, I think I could go. I think I could do an 8 on this.
Right.
Because I think that they were progressing. If I can get over the lyrical content and just listen to the music and the band and the vocals, I think I'm good. But as a band, I think they're growing because they can play better with each other. There's more of them playing within a song. It's a more cohesive record. I do think that Sally kind of sticks out. I think it would have been better at the front or maybe at the front of side 2 as opposed to in the middle of the record. So the sequencing on this record's not all that great, but I think for a last Capitol record, I don't think that they were not mailing it in. I think that they were all in the studio. They were all focused on making a record. And it's a lovely, well, it's not lovely sounding, but I think it's a good production.
It's a very fine effort. It'd
be great to hear like an audiophile version of it. Because the one I've got's the remastered. What year did those come out? 2002?
Let's see.
And I think it sounds fine. Very warm sounding record. It's
2003.
Yeah, 2003.
You're right there, Grant.
Because this CD, I'm on medicine, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm glad you're better. Let's put that out. No, I'm not better. You're not?
No. I've been in bed all day.
Oh.
No, I've got COVID.
Holy crap, Grant.
Yeah, but I'm dedicated. Yeah. So, once we're done, I'll be going back to bed.
Do that.
But the show must go on.
Hey, that's what the Warehaus brings. We're not going to just sidestep our responsibilities to you, the viewing audience.
Right.
We'll bring our A game no matter what.
Right.
And speaking of which, this shirt and the color matches this Grand Funk album cover perfectly.
That's why I brought
it. That's why I wore it. I didn't even. Oh, that's good.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, wait a minute. I'm wearing a mask in the warehouse. Yeah, well, Logan's working at the moment.
Well, Logan,
he's one of my better employees, to be quite honest. He is back there moving stacks of vinyl right now.
You talk about guys that bring their A game every day. That's Logan. Completely a 180 from that pant load Denny. And Logan, if you see Denny back in the warehouse, tell him we want to see him up front in the offices, because I got a few things to tell Denny at this point.
There you go. I'm on medicine. I'm like on I can't hardly talk. Alka-Seltzer
Plus
flu and something, but that's pretty good.
Well,
I see Logan everywhere. Well, Kyle, you shouldn't be seeing him because you're working in aisle 4 and Logan is in aisle 7. Kyle, get back to your row, for God's sakes. God, I have really piss poor employees. They're just hanging out, walking around. Anyway, I give this an 8. Would you give it an 8?
I gave it 8.5.
8.5. So that was an 8.2. Oh, here we go. Dark Horse is a Dark Horse album from the 70s. That album cover grabbed my attention more so when it was released. Oh, well, of course. I remember seeing this album cover when I was a kid at J.C. Penney in the bins when it came out, and I'm looking at it going, what the hell is that?
It gave people pause in a different way, just like all the girls in the world beware's album cover gave them pause.
Oh, okay, Kyle. You can see him at the end. Well, guys, keep up the good work. Working the end. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I appreciate you
Don't
guys.
be using some of those crappy albums as frisbees back there in the warehouse.
You guys think we should look at Born to Die onto the Contrarians as a Dark Horse episode and have Martin on it?
There's a possibility.
God, that might be fun. Though I like this record. I would stand up for it.
Oh, that's all right, Marlon, I know where you're coming from. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
God, you guys are all over it. All right, so we got an 8.5, so that'll be like an 8.2. So I'd like it. So far, I like all this older stuff. I mean, the newer
stuff. Well, I'm thrilled how this is all playing out.
Yeah,
aside from your feelings about the live album and E Pluribus, but hey, I'm thrilled that we've made the headway we've made, and that you're honestly giving these albums a listen. You know, feeling the way you have been about Grand Funk. So again, hats off to you, sir.
I like it, and not many people like this record. I just think it's probably misunderstood. Hey, maybe they should have had a better album cover. I'm not saying that the album cover is bad, but people usually normally don't like people in coffins.
As an artistic statement, I've got no problem with the album cover. If you want to move vinyl, maybe not the best decision. So that's where I stand on this album cover.
Oh, by the way, the show sucks. Laugh out loud. What is Marlon talking about?
What the?
And young Logan has no intention for kids. Well, young Logan, you wait till you meet that
special
young flower,
somebody.
That special somebody, and all your chemicals in your brain get stimulated, and
she's gonna want some little Logans in her life.
That young Logan, young Logan, it'll change, and then you'll get married, and then you won't be able to buy any records anymore. You'll have to sneak them in through the house.
You'll be buying copious boxes of diapers and formula and albums. Forget about it.
But you'll buy them because you'll sneak them in, and you
could sneak out a few in the warehouse that we put on that back pallet.
Right. Sounds like a night. Well, this is what we all have to deal with. More homework, Grand Funk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we did it. 8 and an 8.5. I think that this is good. I think it probably, when it got released in 1976, is just the wrong time for it, probably.
Yeah.
Their album cover is rather Spinal Tap. Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. I tell Mrs. Bolt I am waiting until my next marriage to have kids.
He's already got the young trophy wife. And I don't get it.
This Byron Bolt living the life.
Marlon, I know. I'm just giving you shit. I love
Marlon, we could take it here in the warehouse. We're tough guys.
Yeah. Gonna be it'll all be all right. All right, I'm on medicine. I feel like I'm.
Hey Grant, thanks for hanging in there. I know you're not feeling that hot, but folks, this is the kind of dedication this is just our credo here at the warehouse. So I guess we got to decide what direction we take with our next Grand Funk.
Yeah. So stay on before after I stop it.
We'll do that.
All right, Friday. If you're not busy going out and enjoying yourself, if you're not Logan going out cruising for chicks, we are going to be doing a one and done episode. We are going live. We are going to look at the one and only album from the band Riggs, which I can already tell you, I dig it. So it's got Jerry Riggs. Jerry Riggs now is playing with 38 Special, but the only album they ever did. If you've ever seen the film Heavy Metal, they have 2 tracks in that. So we're going to do a one and done. The panel will be here. We will be here live doing it. And if anybody knows everything about the warehouse, I'd much rather go live than record something. So,
every time live is the way to go.
Great show, Grant. Take care of yourself. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. I'm just going to lie low tomorrow, sleep all day, hang out in bed because I've got the 80s cruise next week. I have to get rebuilt.
We have to have a healthy Grant to take it all in.
I do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you. Thanks, DC.
Thank you, Grant. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, John. We'll see you on the next one. See you Friday. Woohoo! All right.
Friday. Be there.
All right.